His own family called him a monster, but he was the one bleeding. He was 24. His brother broke his nose in front of everyone, and somehow, he became the villain. This is the story of what happens when you defend yourself against someone you love. And the one phone call 6 years later that changed everything. A birthday party, the whole family together, noise everywhere, kids screaming, music blasting, chaos. And then he saw it. His younger brother Ethan, 21 years old, 6'3", built like a tank and starting to unravel, pacing, pulling at his sleeves, breathing wrong. He'd seen this before. So he walked over, calmly, trying to help. That was his first mistake. Because before he could say a word, Ethan swung. The first punch hit his cheek. The second one broke his nose. Blood everywhere. People screaming. And then Ethan grabbed a heavy glass bowl. He genuinely thought he was about to die at his grandmother's birthday party. So he did the only thing a human being can do in that moment. He shoved him away. Ethan stumbled, fell into a chair, got a few bruises. That's it. But here's the crazy part. He was the one who needed stitches. He was the one rushed to the hospital. He was the one sitting in an emergency room with a broken face, and his mother barely looked at him, just kept whispering. You know, he can't control it, like, that was supposed to fix his nose. Then his sister said, something he will never forget. How could you do that to him? He's disabled. Let that sink in. He defended himself from a beating, and his own family watched him bleed and chose the other side. But it got worse, so much worse, because the story started changing first. It was you both had a bad day, then you escalated it, then you should have handled it better, and finally you attacked your disabled brother. That's the version his mother told everyone. Aunts, cousins, people. He barely knew, sliding into his DMs calling him abusive, calling him dangerous. The photos of his broken face didn't matter. The hospital report didn't matter. Nothing mattered. So he disappeared. Stopped going to family dinners. Stopped showing up at Christmas. Nobody called. Nobody checked. They actually seemed relieved he was gone, so he rebuilt himself completely. Alone, became a nurse, started working with adults who had developmental disabilities, learned crisis intervention, behavioral management, de-escalation, and here's what 6 years of that work taught him. A disability explains behavior. It does not erase the damage, and nobody is required to just stand there and get hurt. Then one random afternoon, his phone rang. It was his mother. Sobbing so hard she could barely speak, Ethan had attacked a staff member at his housing facility, punched him repeatedly through a chair. The employee ended up in the emergency room. Police were involved. Charges were being filed, and then his father got on the phone. We need your help. He laughed, not because it was funny, because he already knew exactly what was coming. His dad said, you work in healthcare now. Maybe you can talk to the facility. Explain that Ethan didn't mean it. Silence. He took a breath. And then he asked the question he'd been rehearsing for 6 years. Did the employee defend himself? Pause. Yes. Did Ethan get hurt when they restrained him? Another pause. A little. And then, slowly, deliberately, he said it. So is that employee a monster too? Complete silence. You could hear his father breathing. Finally, this is different. 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 He almost smiled. How? Nothing. His mother tried. He was scared. So was I. He was protecting himself. So was I. Then his dad played the last card he had. But we're family. And something inside him went completely cold. Family. The people who skipped his college graduation. The people who uninvited him from Christmas. The people who spent 6 years telling the world he was a monster. Now he was family. He said only this. You don't miss me. You miss having someone to blame. And he hung up. They called 17 more times that week. He answered 0. A month later, a letter arrived. Not from his parents. From the employee Ethan had attacked. One sentence. Thank you for proving I wasn't crazy. He broke down. Because for 6 years he had genuinely wondered, maybe I was the bad guy. That one sentence gave him his answer. Last year he got married. His coworkers were there. His friends. Families he'd met through work. His parents weren't invited. Neither was his sister. And as he walked down that aisle, he looked at every face in those chairs. None of them shared his blood. Every single one of them had believed him when it mattered. And he realized that's what family actually is. Not the people who were there when you were born. The people who were there when everyone else walked away.